like emojis floating to the top of your screen. These are the best of my lives on Facebook. My lives on Facebook.
Big exciting news in Beyond Obedience front. I have internet. What? Yes. Hey, everybody. It is Tracy here from Beyond Obedience. I'm out on a walk. Today's question is, what does leadership mean to you? Leadership. Leadership. It's a funny word. Leadership, isn't it? Some people, for whatever reason, get their knickers in a knot over that word. That and every other dog training word out there. Leadership is one of the core foundational blocks in my foundation of relationship framework, the FOR framework that I've been teaching about for a number of years now. It is the bottom block, the core foundation block of everything that you do with your dog when it comes to relationship. We have to provide proper leadership to our dogs. Now, leadership isn't a dirty word or a nasty word. It doesn't have anything to do with dominance or being mean to the dogs. In fact, I like to think of leadership as a form of guidance, right? I'm here as your human companion to guide you through this human experience, right? You are the one who invited your dog into Humansville, right? Into a world that makes no sense to the canines. We have stupid rules in Humansville. Like, why are the dogs not allowed to pee in your house? Right? In canine world, they can pee wherever they want to pee, right? Peeing is very important to them. It's marking, it's communication. But for whatever reason, when they come into Humansville, they're not allowed to pee in your house. That's weird. In other words, the rules in Humansville make no sense to our canines. So it is your duty, I dare say, that if you're going to bring a different species to experience the world in your world, you need to lead them. You need to guide them through that experience. Now, I had the opportunity to really get to understand leadership on a whole new level. And I was thinking about this the other day because it's been a year now. It's been a year since I lost Wellington. And for any of you who didn't have the opportunity to meet Wellington, Wellington was the most awesome dog I have ever met. He was the coolest dog. He was, in fact, an alpha dog. Ooh, alpha. There's another nasty dog training word, eh? People get themselves all wrapped up in the terminology. But Wellington was as alpha as you can get. He was a breeding dog on our property. He had bitches on our property and he had offspring. So he really was alpha if you look at alpha as being a family man, right? Wellington was a family man. But I learned more from Wellington than I could have ever learned at any course, any book, any lecture that I've ever been to. And I've been to a lot, you guys. I've been studying dog stuff for over 25 years. And Wellington taught me more about leadership and about being alpha and how to be with dogs, how to manage dogs. Wellington was the coolest dog. It's just the coolest dog. I remember when I was running daycare groups, the daycare groups would all be like crazy. And if I brought Wellington out, he would just come out into the social arena. And it was almost like all the dogs was like, he's here. He didn't have to do anything. He didn't have to say anything. He just was. He exuded all the qualities of leadership that you could ever want. And dogs just knew it. I mean, the only ones that didn't really care that much were the adolescent dogs, those 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-month-old dogs that are they're teenagers. So they're just like, whatever, and a couple of those he had to put in their place just to remind them, just so you don't do that around me. But for the most part, just his mere presence was enough to make dogs stop and go, yeah, I'll follow you. So I had an opportunity to watch this dog because he was mine. And I had an opportunity to watch him and work with him. And I had the honor of being a part of his world. And one of the biggest lessons that I learned from Wellington was that leadership is everything that you think it is. You have to be calm. You have to be calm no matter what's going on around you. You have to be able to handle stress and stressful situations without getting stressed out. That's challenging, right? But the biggest lesson I learned from him is that Wellington, the great leader that he was, this big, stoic, beautiful dog that he was also fun. He was fun. I would watch him with his puppies, with his girls. I would have, their pen was just out from my bedroom window. So I used to sit at my window and I would watch them. And Wellington would be sitting there, with his legs crossed, all stoic. And the girls were young and they were adolescents and they were running around and playing and chewing on sticks and jumping on each other like a bunch of crazy hats. And all of a sudden, Wellington would get up, he'd walk over to them and they'd stop for a second because they'd be like, oh, Dad's here. And then he would bitch slap them. Like, he would take his big paw and he'd smack one of them and then he'd take off and he would run around and they would chase him and bark and he would deek and play bow and all of this stuff. And it was so freaking lovely. It would honestly bring a tear to my eye to watch the joy and the play and the love and the everything. And then just like that, when he was done, he would stop, he would walk away, and he'd lie down and he'd cross his paws again and just watch them play. And I thought, what an amazing dog. Like, he was just like, okay, I'm going to play with you, but I'm also this. But he also knew when to shut down play. He knew when this kind of play was appropriate. He was just brilliant. And that lesson that day, the day that I watched him play with his kids, that day was really an eye-opening moment for me because I think quite often, especially if we're struggling with our dogs, if you're struggling right now and you're thinking, I got to get this dog under control, right? We get in this mindset of, I have to control the dog. I have to force the dog. I got to do more obedience. I got to do all of this stuff. I want to tell you that yes, some of that may be true, but don't forget about the fun, right? Don't forget about being fun with those dogs, right? If you've got an adolescent puppy right now and they're driving you crazy and you're like, oh, I'm going to get this dog under control. I implore you to remember to have fun. Find a way. Do the training. Do the obedience. Do the drills. Do all of those things, yes. But also, remember to have fun with them. Remember to, after you've done a training session, take those dogs out and play with them like Wellington would play with them. Run around, be fun, be joyful. You don't lose leadership points. You do not lose leadership points for being fun. That is the one major lesson I took away from Wellington. You don't lose leadership points. He was still the alpha male. He was still this amazing presence in their life, but he was able to have fun. So that's my tip for you today, right? Especially anybody who's struggling with adolescent puppies right now, your COVID puppies that you're like, oh, they're driving me crazy. Have some fun. All right. Today, I'm going to go tobogganing today, you guys. And this is how this came about. I fell. I slipped down the hill over there. Like I was like, woo, all the way down the hill. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a great day for tobogganing.